Welcome to Sabs podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. So AOC, Rashida Tlaib, and Jamal Bowman did not vote against giving Capitol Police more money. Once again, the squad is not voting as a block. Let me pull up the article for you. House narrowly passes $1.9 billion capital security bill. The one vote margin of passage reflected opposition on the right and the left. Let's scoot down. By the thinnest of margins, a divided House voted on Thursday to approve $1.9 billion in emergency spending to cover costs related to the January 6th attack on Capitol and increase security and prevent a repeat, with progressive Democrats joining Republicans in opposition. Pay attention because this is important. The bill passed the Democratic-controlled House by a vote of 213 to 212, leaving its future uncertain in the evenly split Senate, where most legislation needs 60 votes to overcome a filibuster and advance to a vote. I'm going to skip the Republican part because that is not important in reference to this video. All right, so now we're talking about the Democrats. Their stances led to a flurry of tense negotiations on the House floor before the vote, as Democratic leaders pleaded for the progressive holdouts to change course. Ultimately, they persuaded, keyword, persuaded, Mr. Bowman, AOC, and Rashida Tlaib to vote present, lodging their protest but sparing the measure an embarrassing defeat. Representatives Cori Bush, Ilhan Omar, and Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts voted no. So, this is a problem. Once again, the squad has not voted as a block. The thing I want you to pay attention to in that article is that AOC, Rashida Tlaib, and Jamal Bowman were persuaded basically to not vote with the rest of the squad. So they decided to vote present. Present isn't a no, present isn't a yes. It's just basically a chance where they can say, I didn't vote for it and I didn't vote against it. But when the vote was 213 to 212, if all three of them had voted with the rest of the squad, that bill would not have passed. This is just another example of the squad not using their leverage. It makes no sense. I tweeted about it. Let me show you what I put. Here's Sabby. I said, what's the point of running a grassroots campaign if you're just going to side with corporate Dems every time you have a chance to push for progressive issues? I think it was a fair question. Got a couple responses. Irina said, present. Someone threw up a Freddie Mercury meme that says this. Sarcasm said something really interesting I want people to see. It helps give the illusion that the people have someone in their corner, keeps them involved in the broken system instead of searching for other opportunities for solidarity. Boom. It gives the impression that they're going to do something. It gives you the impression that they are there in our corner, but they're not actually doing it. This is very disappointing. We saw this again with Force the Vote. Again, not using your leverage, not voting as a block. This was another opportunity where they could have really said, F you to giving police more money. I don't care if it's Capitol Police. You just gave them an excuse to give police more money. We're supposed to be trying to defund the police and eventually abolish the police. We're not trying to give them more money. We can't give them more money. They have enough money. Why would you want to give them more money after what we've seen happen over the past couple of years, over my whole lifetime, after George Floyd, after Rodney King? Who cares about the Capitol riots? This is just another excuse for them to convince the American people that the police need more money. They don't. The police had no problem showing up in numbers when Black Lives Matter showed up at the Capitol. But all of a sudden, on January 6th, when they knew those people were coming to protest, that was not a surprise. They knew those people were coming to protest. All of a sudden, they couldn't have enough officers present. But they have no problem having enough officers present when it's time to conflict violence on Black people. So when I wrote that tweet, I had just had it. What is the point? What is the point of you running a grassroots campaign if you're just going to side with corporate Democrats? You should have just been a corporate Democrat. Some people didn't like my tweet. Some people told me, well, you have to give them a chance. We've given them chances. Some people messaged me and said, well, why don't you primary them and you fix it? First of all, the only person I could have possibly primary challenged was Ayanna Pressley because I live in Massachusetts. Secondly, I could no longer do that now because I don't live in her district anymore. I would have to primary challenge Seth Moulton. And believe it or not, for some strange, bizarre reason that I have yet to figure out, Seth Moulton is actually very popular in my district. Don't know why. Not that simple. Some people have told me, like, maybe you should run. I could never win in my district. Now, if I was still living in Cambridge, I'd have a better shot. But a lot of people think Massachusetts, the whole state, is progressive. It's not. And it's not even as progressive as people think sometimes. That's another topic. I was thinking about the 1990s Chicago Bulls. Jordan, Scotty, Rodman, BJ Armstrong. For a period, they had Horace Grant. And one of the questions that tends to come up when Jordan retired and then he came back to play and won 3 more championships with the Bulls is that, does Jordan win 3 more titles without Scotty and without Rodman? When I think about the squad, I see a team like the Bulls. But the Bulls work together to win. The squad not voting as a block, they're not working together to win. Also think about the fact that, the Bulls really had Michael Jordan as a leader and he was a strong leader. Who's the leader of the squad? I don't know. I think that's part of the problem. Every team needs a leader. And in order for teams to win and succeed, you have to work together. But Cori Bush told us, she said, we all vote as individuals. We vote for our districts. I don't know. Maybe this is our fault. Maybe we should have never given them that name, the squad. Maybe we shouldn't have glamorized them and made them like these pop icons. Media played a part in that too. But what's the point? See, this is the reason why people start to lose faith in electoral politics. Because every election, somebody is running and they say, I'm going to make things better. I'm going to do things differently. And we believe them and we vote for them. And then they get into Washington and they do the same thing the people who came before them did. They don't make a difference. This is why so many people don't vote. I've talked to a lot of people. Why don't you vote? Why don't you go out there and why don't you vote? Why don't you do? Because they're just tired. They're tired of hearing that things are going to change and they don't. It gets old, stale. But what was the point? What was the point of running a grassroots campaign, which it's 10 times harder to run a grassroots campaign because you need money, you need the donations to be successful. It's just the fact. And it's easier to get more money from corporations because they know that you're going to do their bidding once you're elected. So if you are going up against a corporate candidate and you win running a grassroots campaign, you won with the money of individual people, people like me, because we believed in you, because we believed that you'd make a difference. And then you get into office and you just side with the corporate Democrats. What was the point of not being bought if you're just going to go along with them? The key word in that article was they were persuaded. You just can't continue to allow them to persuade you. This is not how we win against the establishment. This is not how we push back. This is not how we fight back. You will not succeed this way. We will never get the things that we want passed and accomplished if everybody that we put in there just goes along with the status quo. The squad needs a leader. But the squad also needs to decide, do they still want to be the squad? If everybody just wants to vote individually and vote for their own interests, then maybe we should stop calling them the squad. I can't back this. I do not agree with giving police more money. I don't care if they are Capitol Police. I just can't back it. And what I don't understand is how can you fight on something and be so principled about it when you're running your campaign and then you get into Washington and you do the exact opposite of what the people who donated to your campaign asked you to do? Why can't the squad commit to the people, the individuals who donated to them, like me, the same way establishment Dems can commit to corporations? Oh my gosh, I said corporations. I've lived in Massachusetts for too long. I'm starting to lose my R's. But the same way that establishment candidates can commit to corporations that donated money to them, why can't you do the same thing for the individuals who donated money to your campaign and supported you and put you in office? I don't even know how much money I've donated over the past couple. I'm going back to the first election when AOC, Anna Presley, when they all got in. I don't even remember how much I've donated. I don't remember how much I donated to Bernie Sanders. I keep telling myself one day I'm going to sit down and I'm going to go through my bank stuff and figure it all out. I think I'm a little afraid to know that number, but it's just, I see people give like their last $5 to grassroots candidates because they really believe they're going to get in there and make a difference because they're not beholden to the corporations. And then they get in there and they don't make a difference. They're persuaded. Guys, This is why we need a general strike. All of us, Black, white, Asian, forget the party for a second. We need the people, all of us, to come together, and we need for us to do a general strike. But even that requires a leader. But once again, the squad is just, they let us down.